maybe that's better. That's better. Hi, Linda.
Okay, dear friends, I would like to welcome you to the webinar for players, coaches, and match officials. We all know there's really important events now in Malmö and in Sheffield. That's why we are organizing this webinar from ETTU side. Before we starting, you can realize already we are really quite a big number of participants. So it's 110, 120. We are expecting up to 150 participants. So a really big wish from our side is that you mute your microphone. So all of you, please mute your microphone. Otherwise, it might be quite chaotic. So only unmute if you are invited to speak. Also, if you have a question, please use the chat. Otherwise, it will be impossible. And sometimes it might happen even that we do only have a limited time because all of us, I'm sure we don't want to sit together. It's nice to sit together, but not till midnight. So there might be, if you have 150 participants, that there are some questions we cannot answer immediately in this webinar, but we will send you the reply via email, and you can also send the questions to us all the time. If you want to express your opinion, raise your virtual arm, just give us the signal. ASCO will always check it and will inform us if there are questions or if there are comments from your side. To inform you, there's also the recording, so this webinar will be recorded. Therefore, I hope it's okay for you, but we want to give the chance also to people who are not present in the moment and who are interested that they can see it later. So I'm really happy. We're not only a lot of participants, but this webinar is an important one for ETTU. And therefore, we can see also that the acting president, Pedro Mura, is here. We have Vice President Ina Josepsone is here, Sonja Heike. So we have a lot of vice presidents here already. The Secretary General is also interested in participating. Galia Dvorak, as Deputy Secretary General, is present. Jarek, the Chairperson, Coaches Committee, should also be present. Jarek, you are present? Because I'm not sure if you can see it. If yes, please just give us a short signal. I saw Alessandro, a chairperson from Para-Table Tennis Committee, is also present. Before we are starting, as I told you, two important events are waiting for us from ETTU side, and also we are all happy to see or to go to Malmö. But Pedro Mura is the acting president ETTU. He will give his welcome words, and I'm sure he's ready now because I saw him. Pedro, can I give the floor to you?
Hello, Werner. Good afternoon to everybody. Good evening. Here in Portugal, as you know, we are behind everybody else in Europe, so still 7:38 p.m. I guess that all of you have already your dinner, not yet here in Portugal. I just would like to welcome you all. Some quick words from my side. Welcome you all. Congratulate the Umpire and Referees Committee for this excellent initiative. Of course, thank directly to all the experts that are involved in today's webinar. I hope that you have very good conversations, so we can have even better European and European Table Tennis Championships, both events that will come up very soon. Just this, Werner, we were together in Bangkok, so I'll give you the floor, and I wish you all of you an excellent evening discussing these very, very important topics. Thank you, Werner. I give you the floor again.
Okay, Pedro, thank you for your words, and I really have to highlight all this is only possible. All the development activities are only possible because of the excellent and big support we are having from the management from ETTU. So Beto is helping us a lot, Ina, Sonja, Heike, Bea, Galia, all the persons you can see here. So all the activities are only possible because of your support. For today, we tried to find very experienced speakers. They will present their topics. So we have Petr Bohumsky here, who is an advanced referee, one of our best referees worldwide. Ingrid, gold badge umpire from Sweden. Anja Gerstorff from Germany, also gold badge. Mark Beckman, gold badge umpire from Denmark. Roman Klecker, gold badge umpire from Czech Republic. Asko Rasinen and Paul Biere from Finland and from Luxembourg. They are also gold badge umpires, so we really try to find our best ones in Europe here, and they are ready to support us in this webinar. And Asko and Paul are also responsible for all the work we did before. They are our webinar team, and they are supporting us in this webinar all the time also. Concerning the agenda, so we will talk about a little bit about the referee work, about the core area. As I told you, we will have the big events and the core area, the specific rules also in the field of play, misbehavior, emotions, communication between players, coaches, match officials. And one topic also, which we all know, and it's always a big discussion, but we will deal with it here also, is the service. And we are having an important topic for table tennis. It's para table tennis, and thanks to Alessandro, who is also here, we can talk also about the specific rules and what is really different in the core area and the work of match officials in the core area if you're talking about para table tennis. I also want like to say hello to Tina Grotta, the technical match officials coordinator from ITTF is also present, and we all know that she is one of the most experienced ones and responsible all the time for para events. So welcome also to Tina. So if we start about the core area, rematch procedure, before we are talking about this with Petra, Jarek, you are present already. Okay, I cannot hear him in the moment. But Petra, can you start and can you tell us what is important, what we have to take into account if we talk about the referee working there, what the players and the coaches need to know about the core area and the pre-match procedure to make the life of everyone easier, and that all the players can concentrate on their match. So if they are going there 20 minutes before or 30 minutes before, we know that they already prepared for the match, and we want to have a smooth flow in the core area. Petra, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. So my task here is to present to you the procedures we are doing to prepare the match, and then to speak a little bit about the referee role within the conducting the individual matches. I would start with the call area. The call area procedures were introduced some 10 years ago, and the main goal was to simplify the pre-match procedure so that we can start smoothly the matches once they are coming to the table. Normally, once you go to the tournament, you should get the information either from the referee or from the competition manager or during some technical delegates meeting for the bigger tournaments, how much time before the scheduled time the call area is starting. Normally it is 30 minutes, but even supervisors, competition managers and referees are trying to minimize the time before the match starts so that players are allowed to practice a little longer before they are coming to the call area. Sometimes it is possible according the specific conditions in some tournaments. It can be pushed down, let's say, to 20 minutes. If there is no official racket control, if the call area is close to the field of play or close to the practice hall, then we can reduce the time we need to see players before the match, and we usually do. What is important that you take along with you to the call area your racket or rackets and shirts. Maybe currently you are asking why shirts when in many tournaments organized by WTT is not anymore important what shirts we are playing. But there are still many tournaments where we follow the normal ITTF regulations regarding the shirt color and other regulations. But also for WTT it is important because we have to be very careful with the advertisements regulations. There are new specific regulations for advertisements, and this is what we are also checking in the call area. Then there is a racket testing. Sometimes the rackets are tested only by the umpires in the call area, and sometimes when there is an official racket control, the rackets are checked in the racket control center. I will be speaking about it a little later. Then the player can select balls directly in the call area or very close to the place where call area is established. There is a table tennis table with boxes of balls from out of which players can select balls for the match. Normally, the players are selecting the same numbers. Each player can, or each pair can select the same number of balls in the order that he can assign that this is ball number 1, number 2, number 3, and the umpire of the match is selected by random out of first balls which can be used first for the match. If there is a multi-ball system and players are selecting a lot of balls, it can take a long time, and you should count with this time that the pre-match procedure can be a little longer because of selecting 15 balls for the match, which can be sometimes difficult. We try to simplify this by taking or keeping separately the balls that are new, that are just put off the box of the new balls, and the balls that were previously selected for the matches in the hall, and the player can also select out of those balls. In the tournaments where there is no multi-ball system, it is disadvantage maybe to use the already used balls because they can be damaged during the previous match. But in the multi-ball system, when the ball is used maximum once per game, the balls are still very good and already were selected in the previous matches. So it is the advantage and can speed up the ball selection if you use those balls for your following match. Then sometimes regarding the layout of the venue, of the field of play, sometimes it is important on which side you are sitting, the coaches are sitting, which bench they are using. So it also shall be solved in the call area. And last but not least, we would like to know the name of the advisor. Normally, or according to regulation, the name of the advisor need to be announced latest before the beginning of the match, which does not necessarily mean in the call area, but there is an advantage to if the player knows already who will be coaching him during the match, it is better to announce in the call area so that we do not do any other actions directly in the field of play. But there is a right sometimes in bigger tournaments where the coaches have to take care about more tables and they do not know if they manage to coach the player in the specific match. You can postpone the announcement of the advisor till the very last moment before the match starts. But you cannot announce it later. So once you do not announce an advisor before the match, nobody can come to coach. If you announce an advisor who is not available at the moment, he can come later. It is no problem. But the announcement needs to be done before the match. In this slide, there are two, on the right side, there are two blue boxes. First is just reminding the consequences if the player do not arrive on time for the call area procedure. And the second one will provide you with the reference to the full description of the workflow we are doing in the call area or the racket control. So you can refer to this link and to read the document in full, because we do not have enough time to discuss everything now.
Okay,
On
Petra?
the next slide.
Yeah, Petra, just a second. I would like to inform also all participants, of course, you will receive the whole presentation.
Mm-hmm.
We will send it afterwards to the participants. And can I just give one comment to the advisor, the name of the advisor, just to clarify for the European Championships in Malmö, that it is necessary to name the advisor in the call area already. This is a difference, but it's only because of the importance of the event in the European Championships. You should know that a lot of matches are live on TV, and sometimes you even need the name of the coaches already. So that's why for an important event like European Championships, we will ask to have the name of the coach in the call area. For events like junior events, of course, it's more difficult. I think we have to make a difference on the level of the tournament. But the reason is for media, that they're sometimes asking before.
Thanks, Werner. And this is a perfect bridge to the next slide. But just to sum up this one, the first one, that you need to know the time when the call area is starting, the call area procedure is starting, and you should take with you, or players should take with them, rackets and shirts to be checked there. The next slide, as Werner already mentioned, there are some specific for the team events, which is our European Championships, and in Malmö is a team championships. And the call area procedure is split into two parts. One part is the preparation of the match, and the second part is the racket testing and the ball selection. For the first part, we do not need to see players. There is a team captain that need to come and also write down the composition of the team and also state his name, because in the team events, the team captain is an important person also for appeals and for final decisions about some things regarding the team match. So the team captains are coming earlier, which is typically 60 minutes. But for the presentation reason, as was mentioned by Werner, it is sometimes even more. It can be 75 minutes, or to have enough time to prepare the match and prepare the presentation of the match. And here in the slides, you can see the things that need to be decided during this first phase. And then only later are coming players to present their rackets, which again can be those 30 minutes before the scheduled time. Players who are playing following matches in the team match can even pass their rackets later. It is not very typical. Usually, the team presents all their matches, all their rackets that will be used in the team match before the match. So just to sum up this slide, there are some specific for the team events. Can we go on to the next slide? Next slide
interrupt? Maybe if all the other people would turn off their cameras, not the presenters, because it will take up a lot of bandwidth and it might be difficult to enter the discussion, or maybe even problems with the voice. Thank you.
Okay. Next slide is the reminder about the racket control procedure. Not in every tournament there is an official ITTF racket controls, but in some tournaments selected by random, or I don't know by whom, there is the official ITTF racket control, and in that case there are some specific consequences regarding or coming out of this racket controls. Therefore, it is very recommended that the players are passing the voluntary tests. The voluntary tests are organized always before the tournament, one day before the tournament, or even during the tournament, if there is a free capacity in the racket control center. The rackets are selected for the racket controls by random, but from the quarterfinals, all rackets are automatically checked. This selection is not of the individual players, but always of the whole match. So both players or both teams, both pairs are checked at the same time to have a level playing field for everyone who is involved in the match. The failure of the compulsory before match test means that the racket cannot be used for the match. There is a difference for the before match test and the after match test, because if the racket fails in the after match test, then it means the disqualification from the match. But for the after match test, there are no more random selections of the test. Only in case the player do not pass or do not come for the before match test, his racket can be checked after the match. It's a good news. Again, on the right side of the slide in the boxes, a reminder of the regulation 3243 that if there are 4 accumulated failures within 2 years, within the period, 4 years, then the player will be disqualified for 12 months. And again, one link in the bottom box. There is one link for the technical leaflet T9, where you can see the very precise description how the racket controls are done. Please go to the next slide. This is my last, and I have only 1 minute for this. The match officials are the referees of the tournament and the umpires who are officiating and managing the matches. The referees have another jobs in doing the draws, managing the umpires and so on. But there are also situations when the referees are involved directly in the match. And this is some of the examples are listed here on the slide. So this is the organization. During the presentation, we are giving some instructions. We are checking the eligibility of the persons in the field of play. And but there are also some duties that are coming from the rules. So if there are any exceptions in the playing clothing, if your player can use some specific parts of their clothing, it must be approved by the referee. Any emergency suspensions, not only medical ones, but also, I don't know, the electricity blackouts, I don't know what. This is the situation when the referee has to be involved. If the player needs to leave the playing area during the match, only with the permission of the referee. If there are some changes in the timing of the practice period, also depends on the referee decision, as well as the damaged equipment, misbehavior situation, and also the replacement of the umpire in some very specific cases. In the second part of the slide, I put you the quote from the rules regarding the appeals, because there are many situations where it is not treated perfectly well, that the players or coaches or team captains cannot complain to the referee about the decision of the umpire in the matter of fact. The matter of fact, the decision of the umpire is always final. And so even if you call the referee to that situation and you complain about the decision in the matter of fact, then the referee cannot change the decision of the umpire, but the referee can observe the match closely and see what is happening there for the let's say remaining of the match or for the future, but not at that moment. We cannot change the decision of the umpire in the matter of fact.
Peter, can you give us one example that we know what is a decision of fact?
Yes, there are many examples if the ball is touching the net, touching the playing surface or the edge of the table. But there are, of course, many decisions regarding matter of fact in the service rule. And Roman will be speaking later about this, that sometimes it can be a question of the explanation or the interpretation of the laws, which is the responsibility of the referee. But in many cases, the complaints are just about the decision in the matter of fact, and this cannot be changed. So maybe all from my side. I'm sorry for this 1 minute more.
No,
And
we are not counting the minutes. It's important to have.
I believe we can go on with the further interesting program. And I'm here available for your questions. If you can, for example, write them to the chat of the meeting, I can address them later. Or if there are any questions now, I can reply.
Asko, do we have questions for this topic? Asko?
Yes, I'm here. Let me see. After match test, also, if a player changed the racket during the match, right? So
Yes.
if the racket is damaged, I would think so.
Yes.
If the
yes,
racket gets accidentally damaged.
Yeah, I'm confirmed. This is the only the accidental damage of the racket is the reason for changing the rackets. And if the match was selected for the official obligatory racket control, then the new racket will be tested afterwards.
Okay.
And also in the case of changing the racket because of the accident, the new racket will be tested.
Yes.
Okay.
More questions
no other questions here in the chat.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
No other questions.
Yes.
Thanks, Petra, for your time.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello, yes.
Hello, I have a question about during checking the shirts and all that. If the player is wearing some kind of religious things like a skull cap or hijab, do we have to do they have to take the permission from the umpire, or are we allowed as an umpire? Are we allowed straight away, or do we have to take the permission from the referee?
In my view, it has to be announced during the call area procedure, and in general there will be no problem in accepting this. Those exceptions in the due to some religion aspects are more or less automatically accepted, but it is important to mention it during the call area procedure so that nobody is surprised at the moment when the match is starting.
Thank you.
There's also a question about TTR would be applied in the future. Not going into the details of this, but the question.
Yeah, in this case, we cannot go into details because TTR is a completely different topic. I can just give you short information. TTR might come in the future, but in the moment, it's not used. There will be 1 or 2 events next year, but in 99% of the events, there will be no TTR. And it will be, the players will be informed before and also the match officials, but maximum 2-3 events next year.
Okay.
Good.
Nothing else here in the chat right now.
Okay, perfect. Then we are going to continue to, is Jarek present already? Jarek? Still not present? Okay.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Many
present.
greetings from the beautiful city from Strasbourg, in the middle of the cathedral. Yes.
In the middle. Okay, perfect. Jarek, is anything from your side to add? What do you expect as a coach? How shall be the procedure in the core area? I believe fast and efficient. Or?
I must admit, I have feedbacks that we like very much the fact that it was split into 2 parts. So that first of all, only the team captains, coaches came, and the players only came for racket control and for the ball selection. It was really much appreciated. We did it in Krakow during the European Games, and it was really much appreciated, and especially very much welcomed from the players because they saved a lot of time and they could also practice longer. So very good. Yeah, the right direction.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jarek. Good, we continue. Second topic is para table tennis. We have our expert Ingrid from Sweden. She's working also a lot in this field of para table tennis. And she will start now to talk a little bit about the call area. And Alessandro, may I ask you to join also? That Ingrid starts, and then you will jump in and also give us the information and your feedback and experience about the work of match officials in para events. Is this okay, Alessandro, for you?
It's perfect for me. I am here for it. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Ingrid, can I give the floor to you?
Sure, I'm ready. Hello, everybody. Today I will talk a bit about the para events and also the call area. We had this perfect information from Peter right now, so I continue and more focus on the differences and the additional things to check in para events. So, of course, we already heard about the racket control made from the umpire or in the racket control center, the shirts, color, name, country. We have the ball selection, maybe not so many times the multi-ball for para, but we have the ball selection anyway. We have to see the coach name, and it's the same. We can also have it when we come to the table or just before, if it's not decided. Then we have this extra one that we normally ask for ball pickers, for the people who have a little bit difficult to pick it themselves. So we always have ball pickers. It's of course important to check the wheelchair to see if it is the wheelchair they will play in, and also check the cushions, and also that they don't bring too many things. Normally they can have a net under the wheelchair, and there you can see balls and water and other things that they carry, the players during or between the matches. Another important thing is to check the ICC card, the classification card, and also good to ask about any physical limitations that you should be sure of. For example, when you do these services, if there is something to take care of, it's good to have the discussion already in call area and clear things about it. And also there could be other requirements, strapping, corsets, and also some other modified wheelchair changes to have the body in the right position. Yeah, I was talking about the ICC card, and this is a picture that you can see what you are looking for. Here is if there is something with the service, and also the grip, and this is the part you can check for. And of course this could be made in many different designs, this card, so don't be afraid if it doesn't look like this, because this is the one from ITTF, and I have seen many different cards during the years, but this is a good and clear one, I can say. And the other side we have also that you can see if there is need for some strapping or some other things to carry. And also there you can see information about the classification and so on, but maybe the red lighted fields is where we can find the information and see if there is any limitations.
Alessandro, could you also give us a short info about this ICC card? Anything to add from your side?
Yes, I totally agree that it's very important to check the classification card. In my experience, in the last 20 years, I am technical director of Italian para table tennis team. Just a few times umpire look the classification card before the match. It's very important that they made hit always, and a player must be ready to have the classification card with them, because it's very important to know what is the restriction about the service, because some umpire couldn't know what it's able to do or not able to do in different classes. But if you look at the classification card in this part, in the side A, in the side 1, you can see what it's permitted and what isn't permitted. And in the second part, you can see what you can change in your wheelchair, because not everything is permitted, because it's a bigger advantage, for example, to have one belt in the legs, to have one belt in the body, and just if the classifier permit hit, the player can have. In my experience, I can say that just few times umpire ask about the classification card, and a lot of players are not ready to have with him or with her the classification card, because nobody ask it. And this is the first things. You must push umpire, and who are listening us must do it every time, because it's very important. Second things, it's about the pillow, the cushion. These rules about 15 centimeters, and nobody check if there is 15 or more. You can understand that is a big advantage to have 25 or 20 centimeter pillow. This is the only two things that umpire must check in call area, more than in the Olympic competition. And these two things must done. So I totally agree with Ingrid, but I would like to give my pushing the umpire to do really it always, and not just in the big competition, but ever.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. Ingrid?
Yes.
I give the floor to you.
What I can say is that maybe we are not checking all the ICC cards, but I guess the umpires are asking if there is any limitations to take care of, and also checking if they can see any differences on the wheelchair or the players. And if they don't say that they have anything to take care of, then maybe we don't check the card. But I totally agree that we should maybe ask more clear. And also experienced things that I have had is that the call area very, very often is small, and when you have the double matches and the teams for wheelchair, it's totally crowded in the call area. So many tournaments, it's really small place. So if possible for both us umpires to add in the questionnaire, and also for the referees to send in the reports, because in my opinion there is sometimes very crowded. In my opinion, the coaches and players is normally in time and very cooperative. Not so many delays, so it works very well in para tournaments. Also that maybe classification card could be in plastic to make it readable, and also in one piece. I have seen some paper that is not readable at all, or maybe you can see some small, but it's really difficult to read it, and also that it could be broken. So if everybody puts it in plastic and take care of the card, it's much better for everybody. And also, as I said, check the wheelchair. It could be many things that should not be there, so check it. As I said, there is a net under, and it could be many things. And of course, players need to have things with them, but also check it before the match start. Yep, I can take
Can
next.
we have Ingela Lundbäck has something for this part? Can we have her comment or in the end of it?
Oh, we can take it now if it's.
Yeah. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. About the classification card, we have something else there. We have toilet visits. So you don't have it on the regular tournament. You can allowed to be going to a toilet in the middle of the game. So, well, but you must have it in the classification card.
Sure.
But I agree to Ingrid and Alessandro, all of it, but I think it's 90% is not asking about the ICC card in my 20 years also.
So I would also like to welcome Ingela Lundbäck, so a very experienced and famous wheelchair player. I'm happy that you are also present here. Thanks for your time. Okay, Ingrid?
Yeah. Yeah, some details during the match then. Of course, always the service rule. Always, as I said, check the limitations in the ICC card. Checking the wheelchair. I cannot say it too many times because it happens many situations. Also check if the same wheelchair with the same cushions, with the same heights. Yeah. And also if there is something else in the net, as I mentioned, in bags, balls, bottles, other things. And also before and during, it's very important to check the strappings, that it's under the knee, if it's nothing else in the card, of course. But it could be that the players put it on the right place before the match, and then suddenly it could be in another place during the match. So that is something to check. And also, of course, the contact with the seat or cushions when they're striking the ball in the wheelchair players. And it's many things to check, but of course it's important to do it. And also a little bit what is not when it's let in the service is when the ball is returning in the direction of the net, resting in the receiver's court, and also in singles that it leaves on the receiver's court after touching it on either sidelines. So I try to do a picture there to show these three different. And I had a really interesting match last World Championships that I have to deal with this regulation 30-40 times in the match, and yeah, it was really good experience to have a lot of services like that. And the match finished with yeah, it was a long match, you can say. Yeah, I guess I had the last one coming.
Okay, yeah.
There is one more, I guess.
Yes, just to give us a difference, if a para player is playing in a non-para tournament.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't happen so many times in international tournaments, but probably in your country. Yeah, it could happen that the player arrives and you have para players and the player arrives with the ICC card, and of course we have to take the same considerations and to check for the limitations what it says in the card and take the same decisions. And maybe also something to take care of is that that we should follow the rule regarding let in services if the player is in wheelchair. And also that we shall not use the rule regarding a point if there is no contact with the seat. There is just this rule when it's wheelchair against wheelchair. So if it's not that kind of match, it's not to be considered. And also if the player have losing the footrest and the foot touches the floor during play, that is not also a point. So it's just continue playing.
Okay, thank you, Ingrid. Can I just use the possibility now, Ingela Lundbeck, if you're going to your next event, what are you expecting or in the call area for para players? Is there anything that you would like to ask from match officials or from umpires?
Yeah, it was what I said, that they must check the ICC card. But then I want to, what I wrote in the chat, that they must know the wheelchair rules at the services. And I have make some notes here. Yeah, and then, like Ingrid said, the cushions, it's many who have big cushions, and also the services, if they don't watch the ITC card, they do false services, but they can say, oh, it's in my classification card, but it's not, because no one has seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, but and then I hope everyone can speak English. We don't have that in our competitions.
Okay.
So it's very hard to communicate.
Yeah, that's sometimes a problem. Yes, I agree. Alessandro, from your side, anything to add?
Yes, I want to say one thing about the double rules. In the last 2 years, ETTF put these important events, double and mixed double. Before we play team events and single. Now we play double, mixed double, and single. Double and mixed double now it's more important than before because it's events for the medal. And from this moment, all country begin to practice double. And there is some problem about wheelchair double when one of two players move on the other side of the line. You know exactly that in the double, wheelchair double, every player can touch the ball, but must stay in one side of the table. When we play a double between players from different classes, because before was double in team events and both players was of the same level of ability. So they split the table in the middle and each player play when the ball arrives in the own side. But from the last year, the double was from a player of different classes, because there is one class 1 that can play with class 3, one class 3 that can play with class 5. So the level of ability is totally different. And it's normally that one of the two players move from the other side of the line to take the ball. And for the umpire, it's very difficult to understand if the well of the wheelchair are in one side or move of the other side. I don't know how it's possible to check, but it's very important to take care about it, because a lot in this year, especially in the last year, there was a lot of players that move of the other side of the table. And this is new rules, because it's all the rules, but new application of these rules. And nobody take care, but it's really a big problem, because now double and mixed double are events for medal, not just one match in team events.
Okay, good. Thanks. Asko, any questions?
Yes, there's a lot of interest. Let me pick a couple.
Can you pick 1-2 questions, because we have more topics, but 1-2, and then we continue with the next one, and the other questions we will officially reply. later.
Okay, one important thing is that what is the consequence if a player cannot show the ICC card before the match when it's asked?
Ask Alessandro, is this possible? But normally they should have ICC card.
In the ETTF rules, all player must have the classification card always. This is like racket. You can't play without racket. You can't play without classification
ICC card.
This is the rules. But as I told you, nobody asked.
Okay, so in this case, no ICC card, no chance to play. Okay, yes. Perfect. Thanks. Another
in call
question?
area, if you don't have the ICC card, you ask for the referee to come and deal with the thing.
Yeah, of course, but the final decision will be no ICC card, no match. Okay. Second.
Are there any plans to standardize the ICC card across the world? Yes, there are.
Mm-hmm.
One more important thing here. As a player or coach, is it allowed to check the ICC card of his opponent in the call area?
True. I should say that it's not the need to show anybody else, but
from your side, Alessandro, as chair?
Yes, I agree with Ingrid. The only one that can that must look the ECC card is the umpire, not the opponent. No.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Good. Thanks. So as you can see, this para is really a very important topic, and we for sure need a whole webinar only about para table tennis, which we will do together, Alessandro, in the future for sure. But now we continue. And first of all, of course, Ingela and Alessandro, thanks for your help and support.
Thank you.
Now we continue with the next one. Match conduct, broken balls. Anja from Germany, can you give us your presentation? I give you the floor.
Yes, thank you. I was asked to speak tonight to you about the match conduct, what's happening in the field of play, and what is the umpire's role there. So let's just start with a saying that probably most of you would know. A good umpire is the umpire you don't even notice. Most of us have heard that one. While this is in part true, this saying is often misunderstood and used in an inappropriate way. Because if in a match you don't notice the umpire, it's not because the umpire has decided to not interfere or to not do his job or to hide behind the scoring device to make himself invisible, but because the umpire is doing his or her job in a way that is skilled and professional and experienced. And it is not a coincidence that the term for umpire work is match conduct, as you can easily compare this task, what the umpire is doing, to conducting an orchestra, really. In an orchestra, while the music is played and is made audible by the musicians, the conductor leads the orchestra by checking the music against the score, controlling the rhythm, escalating, de-escalating the speed and the volume, picking up moods, sensing and anticipating atmospheric disorders between orchestral parts. And at the same time, he's making sure that everything is in tune. And in table tennis, this is quite similar. It's pretty much what the umpire does in a match, really. The match is played by the players, advised by their coaches, and it's the umpire's responsibility to check if the match is played by the rules, to avoid and diminish disturbances, to handle discipline issues, to ensure that the time frame is adhered to, and to sense and anticipate atmospheric disturbances that might influence the course of the match. Now, if we have the next slide, then we can look very briefly at what the umpire does, why nobody notices him or her. It's all this that's written. The umpire decides each rally as a point or a let and signals this decision to everybody. Additionally, umpires quite often operate a scoring device, technical ones or manual ones, it depends. Umpires are responsible to manage everything concerning the playing area. It's not only to watch the match closely, but also to the surrounds and to anticipate potential disturbances and react to those immediately. So you have not just look ahead at the match, but you look everywhere as an umpire. It's everything you see at once. It's the umpire's task also to watch out for illegal advice given by coaches. While there has been a rule change in favor of coaching a few years ago that makes our job very much easier, there are still few instances of illegal advice being given, and the umpire has to be awake to be alert to that at any given time. Also, a table tennis match must be played continually, which means there are closely defined breaks and pauses, and otherwise the match must be played without any delay. And it's the umpire's responsibility to hurry players up when they're taking too long a pause between rallies, and eventually resort to disciplinary measures, which Mark will be talking about later. The umpire ensures that services are carried out correctly, which is another story that Roman will be talking about later. It's the umpire's duty to sanction misbehavior, and one means to do that is the use and application of the penalty point system that Mark, again, is going to be talking about later. The umpire watches and times breaks and intermissions, such as towel breaks, timeouts, medical breaks, other intermissions that tend to happen during a match. And while timeouts and medical breaks are clearly defined, other intermissions must be moderated by the umpire to prevent the match from being delayed. Sometimes special incidents happen during a match that are not mentioned in the rules. Anything can happen really in a match. Maybe a need for the player to change his shirts or even his pants, as it happened not too long ago, or the player having to use the toilet. And while the changing of clothes will always happen between games, the need for a toilet break occasionally cannot wait until that point. So the umpire will suspend play until the matter is taken care of. Finally, in case something happens to the playing material, which will most likely be the ball, and less often the racket, the umpire is the one to assess the damage. And in case of broken balls, broken rackets, he refers the matter to the referee. This is easy for the umpire at the table to do. Broken balls will be replaced by the umpire, and only if a ball breaks during a rally, well visibly and audibly to players and umpire, the rally will be decided as a let. And if a ball turns out to be broken after a rally has been played and scored and decided by the umpire, the rally will not be replayed, but the broken ball will be replaced and the match will be resumed. So you see, there's much more to umpiring than just turning scores, as you see them do. And there are actually quite many possibilities for the umpire to be noticed by players, coaches, and audience. Why is it then that umpires normally go unnoticed? And now we're here with the umpire's responsibilities. They go unnoticed because umpires know their responsibilities towards players very well, and in the course of time develop skills to orchestrate their matches in a discreet and unobtrusive way. While applying and in accordance with the rules of table tennis, umpires should create a setting in which players feel comfortable and also on a par with their opponent. They have to feel like they are treated equal. This is achieved by the umpire acting consistently and predictably by preparing and communicating his or her decisions in a way that players are not taken by surprise by the umpire's actions. And there's a difference, for example, between sanctioning a player by just wordlessly holding up a card, or first sending mimic or gestic signals, or even having a quick, quiet, informal word with the player to prevent things from escalating, and only then using cards when things are lost, really. But this is a matter that I'm sure Mark will also be talking about in a bit. So with an umpire who does his job in the way that I just described, and furthermore being respectful and polite towards players, players can do their job without having to concentrate on anything else than their match. This is our aim as umpire. This is the frame we're setting and trying to set for the players so that they can concentrate on what they are supposed to be doing, playing table tennis. However, and there's another slide now, responsibilities and expectations go both ways. And there are certain things that umpires expect from players also, and coaches. The first thing, obviously, is for players to know the rules. This is something more of a problem in lower leagues or hobby classes and events. But even with professional players, there are some misunderstandings concerning the rules from time to time. So are umpires sometimes criticized by players when sanctioning an illegal service by giving the point to the opponent, because the player believes that he's entitled to a warning before being sanctioned, always. But that is not actually true, as the warning can only be given in case of doubt about the legality of the service. And this is something Roman will fill you in later. He knows the whole things about services. And yes, while it is true that players can use their towels just very quickly while the play is being suspended for other reasons, they cannot suspend play by just very quickly using their towels. So there's a difference. Having to tie one's shoe out of necessity is one thing and perfectly legal, whilst tying one's shoe to distract the opponent and gain some extra breath is not legal and is a reason for the umpire to intervene, really. Another thing, selecting multiple balls, Petra talked about that just before, is the player's right, but choosing not to use a ball given to the player by the umpire is only possible when the ball is evidently broken. So you don't choose anything at the table. It's done before or not at all. And even if players do not agree with the umpire's decisions, they have no right to request another umpire that they find more suitable. Mostly these escalations are due to the fact that players are in disaccordance with decisions that cannot be protested against, something that Petra also talked before earlier, the so-called decisions of fact. And other than umpire decisions regarding the rules that can be protested against, the decisions of fact are fixed. For instance, an edge ball that the umpire has been seen to happen is a decision of fact that will not be altered or protested against. However, it sometimes happens, fortunately not very often, but it may happen that the umpire's perception is clearly wrong and noticeably wrong, and then he has, of course, he can change his decision and hopefully will. So umpires are specially trained and educated rules experts, really, with quite a lot of years of experience, and they expect their decisions to be accepted by players in a professional way. Of course, every decision is being taken in favor of one player and against the other one, or to the disadvantage of the other one. So one of them is always not very happy. But even so, umpires expect to be treated with the same respect as they respect the players. And just as umpires don't give advice to players about their play, they expect players to hold back on advice about their umpiring. And in the unlikely case of serious escalation at the table, both umpires and players should never forget that behind the respective role of player and umpire, there's always a person with ambitions, needs, moods, worries, and their respective history. And remembering that, umpires and players should manage to be respectful towards each other, even in a somewhat heated atmosphere. So looking back at the initial statement that the umpire is the one, the best umpire is the one that is not seen or noticed at all. I hope that the next time you don't notice your umpire, you will think back to this evening and appreciate the good work that the umpire is doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anja, for your presentation. Jarek, from your side, are you happy if you don't see the umpires, if you don't realize that there are umpires at the table?
I, as a coach, it's not like this. It's like whenever there is a problem, we would like to see the umpires present.
Yeah.
And sometimes only it happens that for some reasons, once the umpire starts to be very detailed about rules, which is very okay, but then it sets the bar, and then you have to be really detailed about every rule. And most of the time it happens around, of course, the service. Yeah. So, example, one player is warned about, I don't know, the trajectory of the ball that is going behind his head and it's covered for the opponent. But at the same time, the other one is not warned because, for example, he tosses the ball from under the table slightly and things like this. That sometimes it leads to escalation of some tension behind the table. But but I don't think it's a rule. It happens from time to time, and then we need to all to cooperate and to see those things quite clearly. And this both respect for both sides, and I think it's obvious, and I see it the same way. And also it is much more behind the work of the umpire, and it looks like at the table it's also obvious. So I think, I mean, for us, for coaches, it's not so much different view at the subject. Of course, we are a little bit, I speak on behalf of coaches, we are also influenced by the tension around the matches. We have the adrenaline, we also have the nerves, and we have to also absorb the tension and the stress of our players, and that's why it sometimes leads to unpleasant situations. But generally, I think the direction is okay, and we must all cooperate together. And yes, the rule change that allows now the coaches to give advices to the players, it was a big relief and made things easier. So I think from this time on, or from this day on, it is much easier to handle matches.
Okay. Thanks, and I also have to mention, and this is really important also for us as match officials, we have to understand that each coach and also the players, they have different roles. So as a coach, it's your task, Jarek, I'm sure, to support your player. Even if there are some discussions and you might think that he's not 100% correct, but you have to be the one who is supporting your own player. So we have to understand there's a role of a coach, and this is nothing against each other. So we're not like fighting umpire against coach. It's more like we are doing our job, you are doing your job, and together I think we agree that we will do the best for the whole match. And after the match, we can still sit together and have a nice chat. So I think this is important. Should never be on a personal level.
Maybe, Werner, if I may add one thing, it's this appeal against the matter of fact and appeal against the rule. The situation that is sometimes leads to discussion is when whether the ball was touching the table or not. Because if it touched the table, the interpretation is very easy, and not very easy, but it's very clearly on the side of the umpire. So whether the ball touched the table in the appropriate way, so it's an edge, or it was, let's say, from side, and then it's not good according to the rules. This is the interpretation of the umpire. But sometimes the discussion is, did the ball touch the table or not? And this is the field when you can have a discussion. Because if the ball didn't touch the table, this is then appeal against the rules, because the rules says it must touch the table on the side of the opponent to be called as a correct shot. If it didn't touch the didn't touch the table, then of course it's out and it's a clear point. So this is the moment when it's the situation is delicate, and the umpires must be very sure to say I didn't see the ball or I saw the ball, and if the player if both players admit it was a touch, then it's easier. But if they discuss, it must be the umpire who takes the decision, because this is the situation when you can appeal against the rule. Because if it didn't touch the table, then it's against the rule if the point was awarded, this or another way.
But if the umpire has to make a decision, either the ball touches the table or not, and this is a decision of fact. So you cannot make an appeal against this. This is impossible. So there has to be a decision. The only chance to change, and that's what we are recommending, is if both players agree did not touch the table, then of course we will say, okay, if both players agree, yes. But otherwise, there has to be a decision of fact. Touched, yes or no.
Okay, understood.
There can be no discussion about this, and even sometimes I tell them, don't wait. You have to make a decision. If it's wrong, the decision, yeah, okay, it's bad luck. But you made a decision, and there can be no discussion anymore. Because as soon as you are not sure, and did it touch or not, then the discussion starts. But there has to be a decision by the umpire. That's a decision of fact. Okay. Good. Then there was one question we would like just to mention now. We had before. It's about the illegal coaching from the spectator stands. So if there's someone who is coaching from the spectator stands, then of course for the umpire it's not easy, because he's sitting in the field of play. He's sitting in his box. He's responsible for this match. But then it's the referee who can go there. You can call the referee, and the referee can inform the person it's not allowed to disturb the match by coaching, by shouting something. And then the organizer has to remove this coach or the one who is coaching illegally from the spectator stands. So, because this person is disturbing the match. So that's the only chance. It cannot be the umpire who can show a red card to someone as a spectator, but it's the referee who can go there and say, please, organizer, remove this person. The person is disturbing the match. It's also our possibility, the only possibility. Is there one, Asker, from your side? Is there a question in this chat?
Yes, there are. If we take one, we are running a little late.
One, please, yeah.
Okay. The coach sees the signals of the opponent pair below the table surface and lets his players to know about it, as coaching is allowed between the rallies. As umpire, you can react to this as unfair action of the coach. Is that something that's unfair, or it's okay? So coach sees the signals of the pair below the table, like they often show, the services and stuff.
Yeah, but
and tells his players about it.
But this is something, to be honest, I would not act as an umpire from my side, because it's the same if one coach is shouting or is giving advice and the other one can hear it. Then you can also not say it's not fair, because you could hear it and now suddenly you can give different advice. Jarek, you had this case. I'm quite sure that you could understand what the other coach is telling to the player. Would you call it unfair?
Me? No,
Jarek.
I wouldn't call it unfair.
No, Jarek. If Jarek as a coach, if you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Werner, please, you need to repeat. I lost the connection for 30 seconds for reason whatsoever, so I didn't know what you started to talk about.
Yeah. Would it be unfair for you if you give advice to your player, or you can see what the other, if you give advice concerning the service to your player, and you can see that the other coach could see it, and of course gives the same gives advice how to react. I'm sure this happens also. Or is it unfair from your side?
Yeah. I mean, if this is the game between the coaches who are coaching at the moment at the table,
yeah,
it's somehow part of the game. But if it is something that is like supported from the stands by other person, of course this is something different.
Yeah. Okay. So as Jarek said, it's part of the game, and as an umpire, we cannot or we should not act in this case. This is something, because then we have to act all
I
the
mean,
time. Yeah.
yes, because I see it like this. At the moment, this coaching is this live coaching is, as long as it doesn't extend the game time extraordinary, which is something for the umpire to judge. Then it's legal. So as long as it's legal, okay, then it's legal.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Okay, thanks. Good. So I'm sure there will be more questions asked, but again, as I said, the other questions, we will keep it, and we will also add it, not only reply via email, we add it to the end, to the slides, that everyone can see the reply to our questions. Okay, we continue now with our next topic. Mark, can you give us a little bit a short presentation about misbehavior, about coaching? We mentioned already a lot of things.
Yeah, sure. As Anya said, Jarek, can you mute yourself? I think you have some outside noise. Thank you. As Anya mentioned that we are conducting the matches, and she's describing this in a very good way. If the match gets out of control, we have the use of the cards and the use of the penalty point system. Now, of course, it's not that we seek all the reasons to use the cards. We don't want to throw around cards in every match. But if it gets out of hand, we can use the cards to show what line we want in the match. On the misbehavior side, it's been a long time since I have given a card for misbehavior, but I'm also much more with the seniors now, and maybe not so much with the younger players. And of course, with the younger players, it's a little bit harder to control the emotions. It's harder to control what you do because they're younger. So here we need to teach them about what we expect in the future, what we expect, what kind of line we expect in our matches. And if it gets out of hand, we use the cards. But a lone yellow card in a match might not seem that big of a consequence. If you only get one yellow card, then it's nothing, it's just a warning. But new systems are in place where the referee, after a specific amount of cards, depending on the length of the tournament, can give an official warning to the player, stating that the next yellow card will mean a disqualification. This could, for example, be 4 cards. So if you get 4 cards during a tournament, you can get an official warning, and then you will be disqualified if you get another one. This has shown to be really helping, especially during the junior tournaments. Yeah, and for the time wasting, this I have given some. The cards I have given in the last couple of years has definitely been for time wasting, but it's also much more of a gray area, because play has to be continuous. But what is continuous? What does it mean for us? And here, I feel it's very important for the umpires to have a good feeling for the game and a good knowledge of the players. So, for example, if the players has just finished a long rally, then maybe it's not time wasting. But if they continuous go down to tie their shoe or wait for the match, then it's time wasting, and then we can start using the cards because it's not play is not continuous. So here communication is very, very important, which Anya also talked about. So we have to let the players know to take up the speed, and that they're slowing down the game, and then the players know that, okay, if we tell them this, then it's time to start speeding up. Otherwise, we will use the cards. It's very important to know when to use the cards as an umpire or a match official. We need to find the line and we need to stick to it, as Jarek also mentioned. So yeah, to find the lines, we have to know the players. We have to know that we have to get a feeling from the players, a feeling of the game. For example, I had a situation earlier this year with a player missing a ball and trying to hit it afterwards. She hit it on the edge of the racket and it went towards me. Now, if I had misinterpreted that situation, I could easily have given a yellow for trying to shoot a ball after me, but I know the player and it was not a situation that warranted the yellow card. So a situation like that could have easily got out of hand, but I know the player and I had a good feeling for the game, so I didn't give a card, and the match was easily controlled after that. Regarding the coaches, as already mentioned, the connection to the coaches has been made much easier after the rule change. And even though I've had many good talks with coaches in different tournaments, and I value the insight that the coaches can give us into the game, there's still some complaints when we start calling some stuff. And as Petra talked about, it's important to know the appeals. So we cannot appeal a decision of fact. But if you think we're doing something wrong, for sure call a referee. But do it properly. Do it. Respect us when you do it. It's very important for us to respect us. As Anya said, we are persons on the other side. Don't shout at us. Don't threaten us. Don't be aggressive. I've had this situation earlier this year also, where I actually felt like after thinking about it, maybe I should have given a direct red card because the coach was really seeking a discussion with my assistant umpire. Luckily, both me and one of his team members were quick, and we got him out of the way. But being aggressive, even if you're in your feelings and everything is right, it's not a good show for the sport. Which is also why it's important for the coaches to know when to discuss with us and when and how to discuss with us. So if we're finishing a match, let us finish our duties. We have a lot of things we have to write down. We have the match area to check, and we have to give the score sheet to the referee. When we're done with that, when we're out of everything, then we can have a talk if you want. But yeah, like Anya also said, remember that we are people. We are people with a big love for the sport and a big interest for the sport. And of course, the respect should go both ways. This was my short presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Yeah, just what I would like to mention is the 4 yellow cards or the yellow cards, as you said. And you said it should be a specific number of cards. We cannot say it's 3 or 4 because it depends on the length of the tournament. But it has to be clear that if you're behaving in a bad way throughout the whole tournament, it cannot be accepted. And we had this the European Youth Championships also this year in Poland. I know it's a long tournament, but more than 200 cards for players, to be honest, is not really acceptable. That's why we had to react. And someone who had 4 or 5 yellow cards, then there will be a written formal document from the referee to the player, and if it's a junior event, normally also to the coach, just to inform if the next yellow card is a disqualification. So it has to be accepted that it's okay to have emotions. It's important to show emotions, but if it's really in a negative way, then we have to act. And 4 or 5 yellow cards for sure is more than enough in one event. And it was quite successful because the players who received this formal warning, they changed. So it was successful, yeah. And of course, it's different if you're coming to the senior players, they're not a big problem. But I also have to mention here with the senior players very often about the continuity of play. And I'm sure that Jarek can also agree that sometimes to waste the time is a little bit also a kind of tactic, because if you are losing some points in a row, a few rallies, then you have to act a little bit. But our task is to ensure fair play, and that the continuity of play should be ensured. I think this is important. And also, we need to know there are spectators, and they cannot just have a short rally and a long break. Anything to add from your side, Jarek, or is it okay from your side? Okay. Asker, are there any questions?
No, now there was one. A less experienced umpire cannot know the players and hence could not possibly use their knowledge of individual players. What to do about that?
I was actually just about to answer that in the chat, but I can answer it here as well. Because of course we cannot know the players if we don't know the players. That's true. But for me, it's the feeling for the game, and you get that the more experience you get. So it's not something I would expect out of a complete new umpire, but the more experience we get, the better the feeling we get for the game. So that would be my answer. Just to get to know, try to get to know the players and try to get more experience. That's the answer for that question.
And we also have to mention also in this webinar, I saw a lot of names of our experienced umpires, and I know that they are even going there. If they know I have the match the next day, they are going there the day before just to see the player. So they are really preparing in a professional way. And if you talk now about the European Championships in Malmö, I can tell you that the players are well known, and most of the umpires are also well known, so they know each other, and quite often they know what to expect from each side, and this is what we should aim for. Okay, good.
Werner, sorry, because I lost microphone. I just would like to add that I never saw a situation in which, when the player is warned about wasting time, maximum he does it one more time, that he gets a warning like a yellow card or something, and then it stops all the time. So I mean, it's a question of reaction of the umpire, and it's almost 100% taken from my experience.
That's also my experience.
I never saw players who is provoking and making it time to time, risking red cards and losing points. I didn't see it.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks for this comment. Good, Mark, thank you for your time and for your presentation. And now we come to a topic which is, I think, the most famous one in table tennis, but still we will not talk the whole night about this. Let us start with the presentation, then a short discussion, and yeah, Roman, it's your turn. Service.
Thank you, Werner. Hello, everyone. Okay, so please move to the slide. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so as you all know, service is a very crucial moment. Okay, now in the current table tennis, it's very, very important to have good service, and our reaction is very important also. And is one of the most difficult. I don't know if there is any other sport with such a difficult service rule. And we have 30 aspects to judge in 1 second. I think 1.5 maximum. And if we don't react, it's late, you know. Yeah. And then we have to let the rally go on. Yeah. So we have to react quickly. If we can see something at the table during the service action. Okay. And of course, we have also sometimes for some players it's not clear. Is the server's responsibility that he will serve, that the receiver can see the ball. So let's say as this picture I took, so the right-handed player serving to the left-handed. The left-handed should not move to the left to see the ball. So is the responsibility of the server to serve that the ball is visible, the whole trajectory is visible during the service action. What is important from our side, from umpire side? Very often the distance. We are sometimes sitting too far. Now in handbook it's written 2 or 3 meters. Sometimes it's even 4 or 5. Yeah, so it's difficult. Also the distance, the height of the chair, the angle from the table, ball, player, and the chair is makes our job sometimes very difficult. Yeah, light intensity in the field of play. Also sometimes it's a darkness around and only very, very strong light in the field of play. Yeah? And sometimes difficult to see, for example, the spin and so on. Okay, of course, we have to focus also on if the player is right-handed, left-handed, to be more focusing on the positions and the ball. And sometimes it can the color of the ball and the logos can help us. Yeah, if there are two logos, you can see better the, let's say, if there is a spin, a lot of spin impacting by the server. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So from those 30 aspects, I will mention only a few of them. Okay, height. Yeah, of course, 16 centimeters after the ball is releasing the palm. Yeah. So for us, of course, the reference, the net, 15.25, perfect reference. I think we don't have normally not that much troubles with the height. Yeah. The more difficult is the angle. Yeah. Nearly vertically. Okay. Let's say 90 to 60 is also written in the WTT handbook now. 90 to 60 we allow as a near vertically. Yeah. Very important, the position of the start of the ball and the strike. Yeah. Some players starting on one edge, or let's say close to the edge on the corner of the table, striking in the middle, but it's very high. And we are, of course, watching the first 16 centimeters. That's it. If it's within 90 and 60, it's fine. Yeah? Hiding the ball, big trouble now, because many players are serving from the forehand side with the for the backhand side with the forehand service, of course. So we have to allow them, of course, because most of the matches we are with the assistant sitting there. So of course, who has the better view to the service has to watch this, and the umpire, the assistant more watching the net court if the ball touch the net. So this is very those three are the most difficult, of course. Now very often the angle, some let's say also important and a little bit new, I would say, is imparting spins. Now more and more you can see ball is spinning, but if there are two logos, you can see a lot of spin. So watch it closely with high toss. Sometimes they can even variate the spin here, and reacting, of course, reacting as soon as possible, not waiting till the end of the game or the end of the match, of course not. Yeah, but of course sometimes it happens in the end of the game anyway. And yeah, sometimes it's very difficult sometimes to strike very close to the end line, because it's sometimes hidden to the umpire, and sometimes we are umpiring alone. And if we are not sure, of course, we cannot call fault. But if we are sure, of course, reacting as soon as possible. And next slide, please. Okay, troubles and misunderstandings. Yeah. So as already, it was already Anya mentioning something, that they are expecting first illegal service as a sometimes nothing happens till 9-9, and then suddenly you see a very bad service. And that's true. I think many of us are reacting with a lead, and that's what they like, of course. Yeah. So maybe doesn't matter if we see sometimes these 2 or 3 aspects suddenly in one moment. So I think it should be fault immediately. Yeah. What also sometimes players then don't know. They don't. We have to maybe to remind them sometimes. They can have, let's say, fault service in the first game, first rally or second, doesn't matter. And later for the first doubtful service, of course, there is still a chance to have a let. Yeah. Sometimes players, they don't believe that we have a good position when sitting as the assistant and not as the umpire, because from the lower level of the assistant, sometimes it's much easier, it's more clear to see the angle and the height, yeah, especially the height of the service. Yeah. So I think they have also to consider that sometimes even they don't believe, and also when the player is serving with the back to you and you are sitting on the high chair as the umpire, the angle is so super clear, visible. Yeah. So I think this is also important to mention. Yeah. And some services, especially sideways, or not backwards, but sideways, for the coach sitting, let's say in the middle, let's say following the center line of the table, he or she can believe it was a perfect service, yeah, but it's a sideways. So also this is an important aspect. Yeah. So what are the reactions sometimes after we warn the player for the service, for doubtful service, or we have to fault it? Sometimes which we like, okay, question, okay, what was it, why? And then we will explain them in a calm way, what's the problem, I don't know, higher. So it's good when we, what I recommend, when we are giving a warning, better to say, okay, make sure the service is, let's say, high enough, vertically, and so on. Of course, using those hand signals for illegal services, but once it's illegal, then we have to use the proper words, yeah? And of course the signals. So, and some, of course, when they accept, the coach is maybe some accepting and the player, okay, and then adaptation of the service is coming, that's fine. But unfortunately, very often it's protesting, shouting, then even sometimes the coach is telling to the player, okay, don't play, stop the play, we will call the referee and so on. We already talk about that. This is the question of fact. We, let's say, should not allow them to make an appeal to the referee, but normally we do. Then the referee is coming to the table, watching the match, okay, talking to the player, talking to the umpire, and also to the coach. And yeah, sometimes, unfortunately, it's the illegal services are repeating, and it's sometimes a way to undermine the umpire's authority. But we are there to ensure the outcome of the match will be according to the rules and the fair play. I understand the job for the coach is to do almost everything to help the player to win the match. But yeah, we are, as already Werner and Anja and also Mark mentioned, we are also persons and they have to understand us and we want to have a respect. Yeah. So maybe, okay, next slide, please. Maybe the last one. Okay, what I want to mention, there is really no reason to relax illegal service. Yeah, there is no need to have a fear. Like we need to be self-confident. Okay, of course, more matches, more tournaments you do, then you feel more confident in such decisions, and yeah, we don't have to hesitate to react. Consistency. This is very important. Of course, there will be never a consistency among all the empires. We are 5,000 international empires or even more. Yeah. But of course, consistency, every match, the same level we use. Not like in the beginning or in the morning, okay, we are fresh. And then in the afternoon, we are tired, we are relaxing. No, there is no need. Of course, and also what I think maybe Jarek will be also mentioning, because sometimes coaches are complaining that tournament with assessment or especially with evaluation, empires are reacting a different way. So we don't have to do this. We have to keep the consistency. It doesn't matter regardless of the tournament, if there is assessment or performance assessment, evaluation or assessment or not. This is, I think, also very important. About the score, when the reach at the moment of illegal service, okay, it's of course it doesn't matter. Sometimes all the services are super legal, everything is fine, and suddenly 9-9, and we have to react. Yeah? So we don't have to hesitate to react. And what I want to also to talk about is like some players, coaches, they believe that we like to call faults. I don't think so. I think experienced umpire doesn't like to call faults. We have to react. So if I do a very bad job in the end of the match, I don't know, 3-3 and 9-9, 2 illegal services, and I don't react, I feel guilty for unfair result. I think that's the thing, yeah? And they have to understand this. Yeah? And so it's not like as many. So the good umpire is like the umpire calling the biggest number of faults. Not at all. Yeah. I think it's much better to be invisible but strict in the decisions, quick, yeah, and to communicate in a calm way. We don't have to let them like to make us nervous and so on. Yeah. And yeah, we are, of course, we are appreciating respect to our decisions. What else to talk about? Sometimes it's difficult when, say, one umpire is reacting and the team member, like we are working in the team, then the other is not. Yeah, but this is difficult. I think there is no time to discuss this topic. Yeah, and it's not easy. You all know you are also players. I think 99% of us we are also players, so we have the feeling for the game, and which is very, very important, I think, in our job. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Roman, for this short presentation about a very important topic. And I think it's really what players, I believe, and coaches are expecting is consistency throughout the whole match and throughout the whole tournament. And as you mentioned, also it's not easy because we are 4,000 or 5,000 umpires. And of course, the quality is also different, like it is for the players. You don't have 4,000 or 5,000 with the same level, but it's still, of course, players and coaches can expect from our side consistency. Jarek, what is your opinion about this really difficult topic?
Now I have to speak for myself and not for all the coaches, because there are even more coaches than umpires. Yeah, so this you have to know. But first of all, I officially show you my respect. With Mr. Kletzkar, we go for a beer because we understand each other very good. This is a very good presentation, Roman. And
Thanks.
I have only two comments about what you said. First of all, I like what you said. Let's use the warning. I think it's a very good and useful tool. It's better than to use the warning more often than not to use it at all and to take the point immediately. But of course, I understand there are some situations where you have to take the point away immediately because it's totally illegal. And you must have the courage to do it if you are convinced to do so. I'm speaking to the umpires. But it's very good tool to use to have this warning. Even if it's this 8-8 or 9-9, if it's like not 100% sure, then you say, hey, pay attention. I'm observing. It was not like this. It was not too much like this and like this, and clear explanation. And this is really working. And the second my comment is, yes, the consequence, but not only by a certain pair of umpires who are umpiring a match, but of the society. I mean, you have the tournaments like European World Championships on 16 or 20 tables, and let's say you have a bad luck and you are playing 5 matches on tables where the bar is not set so high because of the details about the service or the aspects, and suddenly you go to the table when the details are being observed very carefully, and it's being umpired in a very detailed manner. And still, I understand that there are different types of umpires, and I still have no problem with that. But then the clear communication is important, and to be like same strict for both sides of the match, and then it's okay. And then it's okay from my point of view, like from my side. So these were my comments. Thank you, Roman. Very good presentation.
Okay, thank you, Jarek. Asko, do we have questions? 1, 2 questions?
Well, we have one short one. Is there any standard signals for extra spinning?
In the moment, there is no standard signal, but Roman proposed already the standard signal, and it will be included.
Thanks.
Okay, good. So we have now questions we had already mentioned here. So I think we had a really long evening now together with interesting topics. I really would like to say a special thanks to all the presenters. I hope you also could enjoy our webinar. Thanks also to Jarek, Alessandro, that you had time to join us. I think it was good to hear also the view from the coaches. And we are happy that we will work together in one of the next events. The one for sure, one in Sheffield will be an interesting one, and in Malmö, a lot of us will see us again, and I'm sure we'll have a good communication with the players and with the coaches. If not, we see us in other events worldwide. Thanks for your time and all the best. And at least here in Europe, I wish you a good night, good evening, and see us again. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.